guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, and pretty much for those who for those who haven't seen my anime review of my latest anime review of My Hero Academia, I'm just gonna paraphrase it quickly here in terms of the whole in terms of the whole in terms of the whole pretty much controversy with the name of the doctor. It's one where it's basically a pretty much cultural difference. It really comes down to a cultural difference, guys. And with the whole name of with the whole name with the whole naming thing, like it's honestly something where the Japanese honestly, where the Japanese and those in the East have a little bit more reason to be angry than we do, because we just tend to blow things out of proportion. That's pretty much at least when it comes to our culture, honestly. So yeah, that's pretty much all I'm gonna say with paraphrasing it. But let's get into the actual review itself. My Hero Academia, chapter 260. So I guess to start off, we learned that the Doctor was a clone created by Twice, or created by or a clone created by the Doctor himself, who managed to pretty much synthesize Twice's quirk, which I kind of feel was the case, because even he seemed way too cautious to get captured so easily. Although I do admit the last page and certain aspects of this chapter as a whole gave me major case of deja vu from last week, but I think largely a lot of that deja vu feeling I have just comes from the whole idea that this whole chase and capture of the Doctor is set up as a whole cat and mouse situation. Like the heroes are the cats and the Doctor is the mouse, and he's basically fleeing in order to escape. But so yeah, it's very much a nice little little setup of the dynamic of how this whole capture the Doctor thing is going. With that said, the one thing that's both a surprise but at the same time not with this chapter is Aizawa and present Mike's current mentality and temperament, and how they just unloaded a lot of their emotional baggage on the Doctor's clone, which is interesting to dissect in the sense where it gives us a greater sense that given the current situation, something is going to pop. And between Aizawa and present Mike, one of them, I feel like that these guys are the two ones who, if something bad is going to happen, they're probably going to be the ones unintentionally responsible for basically any slip up, that's going to allow the Doctor to escape. Of course, in some respects, even if honestly, of course, in a lot of respects, looking at this whole situation, looking at how this whole chapter was set up, in a lot of respects, even if the Doctor does escape, that's kind of going to be the least of the problems that's going to be the least of the problems that's going to have to be dealt with in the aftermath of this, because you have to really think in terms of everything that's happened between this army of heroes barging into the hospital unannounced and two teachers from UA forcibly capturing and interrogating the head doctor, who, I'd like to remind everyone, the residents know nothing about his experiments. It's basically a shit show. The residents themselves are we see the residents themselves are panicking on top of already being scared and confused by the intrusion. So there are so many warning signs going on in this chapter that this is the major push that's going to potentially put heroes in a situation that honestly Stain was talking about, and how heroes are going to potentially fall out of grace with society, and possibly not fully, but probably potentially. And the more I look at this chapter, honestly, the more I realize just how much such a minor detail pretty much screwed how much such a minor detail could so badly be overlooked. Like the heroes in some ways really screwed the pooch here because by not honestly with the residents and the nurses and the doctors and all that panicking and whatnot, this is all a scenario they really could have avoided had they just like worked with the hospital's other residents in some way. Like I'm basically saying, like I basically know why I know why the heroes didn't want to work with the hospital and inform the hospital early on that they were coming because obviously they didn't want to tip the doctor off. But at the same time, by pretty much virtue of this being like a pretty much a surprise to the hospital itself, it's basically it's kind of putting the heroes in a very it's kind of presenting the heroes in a very bad light, unfortunately. And 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 really all they needed to do was to put a little. It's really a matter of trust. What the heroes needed to do in this case is they needed to obviously handle it carefully, but they still needed to put a little, have at least enough trust in the hospital in order to know that the residents, the nurses, all of them could have helped in containing the doctor, and maybe it wouldn't have turned into such honestly a shit show that it currently has. So yeah, just a little interesting little thing that I noticed with this chapter. Um, and getting back to that thing that could pop and potentially screw everything up, it's we basically get a scene of the doctor in his underground laboratory where he's overseeing like from Shigaraki in containment unit, and I can kind of it's definitely looking like a situation where it'll be too little too late to do anything, and by the time the other heroes reach the lab, Shigaraki will have fully adapted to the modifications done to his body and kind of and break out like Cell style or something like that. Uh, and it's gonna be and I bet you it's also gonna be a situation where the split second that the heroes arrive is also when Shigaraki breaks out of that containment unit, and something in between that is where things are going to go like just horribly wrong in so many ways. Uh, Beyond that, yeah. What else can I say other than getting like a lot of the more full and complete image of the doctor's laboratory, seeing like shelves upon shelves of like quirks and artificial quirks and containment units of nomobodies. Like all that is really a horror show in itself, but at the same time, it's one of those very odd situations where for as grotesque as all of this imagery is, there is an element of it to weirdly admire in the sense where you really understand the scope of what the Doctor and All for One have been able to achieve just through their partnership. And for as bad as it is, and for as like inhumane as it might seem, it really puts into perspective just how utterly meaningless All for One's defeat was, other than to expedite from Shigaraki's path towards succeeding his master. Like when you look at this, when you look at how much like the Doctor's research has developed, it really shows that yeah, with All for One being kidnapped, with All for One being captured, incarcerated, all that, he had, when you look at all this, he had every reason in order to still be confident because hey, his pretty much his capture pretty much set the stage in order for Shigaraki to in order to officially in order to succeed his master in some of the worst ways possible. So yeah, but yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and English or Crunchyroll. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.